welcome back to Autofunk. You're joining me today in Kev, my project Rat Vet. I don't know if you can hear me, I've got the Targa top off and the windows down. Even though we're in England, it's actually quite a nice day today. So yeah, I thought I'd take him out for a drive. And what I wanted to do in this episode really was just talk about how I came to owning the car and the work that I've done so far and future plans. And just to give you guys an update on it really, because I know that you've seen it on the channel and we've sort of mentioned it briefly in passing. But I thought you might like to know the story of how we bought it as a non-runner. Originally, Chris and I bought the car and then I took a bit of a shine to it and decided to buy him out. So I own the car on my own, it's my car. So yeah, we bought it, we were offered it basically by a channel member. He'd owned the car for I think about 5 or 6 years, and he'd been using it on a semi-regular basis, but he lived in the sticks in the north of England, up in the hills, and didn't really use it that much. Long story short, he left it standing for a while, went to start the car, and for some reason it wouldn't work, and I think rather than spend a load of money and time trying to fix it, he felt like he was just ready to move on really. So we went and drove up there in the Discovery with a trailer, picked the car up completely as a non-runner. We didn't do any testing at all when we first bought it, just sort of accepted it as it was. And then I got it back to a friend of mine, Pete, who's been in other videos briefly. He let me store it at his house because he's got a bit of land. So I did manage to get the car running, and it was, as usual with these older cars, a little bit of a silly fault, but one that's probably hard to diagnose if you're not familiar with them maybe. And yeah, bear in mind this is the second non-runner C5 we've bought. So the first one, watch the older videos of the first one, because it's quite interesting. We didn't really ever finish that series, to be honest, but it's quite interesting to see the stages that we went through with that red C5, Chris's car, to get it running. But anyway, let's go back in time, and you'll see when I was doing some fault diagnosis on Kev and how I got him running. Something different, don't worry, I know what you're thinking. I'm going to start focusing on this and not doing the ZR1. That's not the case at all. Don't panic, the ZR1 videos will be every Sunday at 5 PM. This little beauty here is something that's a little bit extra, and I'm probably going to upload videos maybe every other Wednesday or something like that. There's not really going to be a schedule, it's just going to be as and when I work on it, so it's very much a background type thing. But the plan with this car is really just to get it running and use it as a bit of a summer toy. So let's have a look around it. I reckon this is probably the cheapest C5 sold in the UK in recent times. It's a manual car, but it's a Cat C. It was stolen and recovered and written off in 2016. It used to be a silver car, and someone decided to change it to this colour, which, to be honest, I'm really not a fan of. So let's just have a quick look around it. The paintwork is terrible. You can see overspray on that indicator lamp there, overspray on the number plate. That is just an absolute state. Complete disaster. And then yeah, if you look like here, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but there's yellow paint or some other paint on the back of that headlamp pod. Also, all of the panel fit's a little bit iffy. So this door panel fit is shocking, although I know, I'm going to go show you the interior in a minute. I know the hinges are gone on that door, which isn't going to be helping. Look at that, that is mental. Doesn't fit very well at all, so that needs looking at. Positives though, it is a manual, and it's only done 79,000 miles. It's got the clear roof, which needs a bit of work. I think the interior would tidy up okay, but the seats definitely need replacing because they're both completely trashed. Plan is to get the car running, make sure there's nothing fundamentally wrong with it. I drive it around for a bit and make sure that I'm happy with it mechanically, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a colour change on it. So I'm going to repaint it, get the wheels refurbished with new tyres. I'm going to put Z06 front and rear sway bars on it, get rid of the adaptable suspension and get a really nice set of sort of fast road / track shocks on there. Try and get the handling really good, upgrade the brakes, and the interior I'm going to change the seats for something interesting. Not entirely sure what, but I'm not a massive fan of these Corvette seats. They're like not very good, and these ones are beyond their serviceable life. But right now I've got to get it running. Current state of affairs is it's not healthy at all. All sorts of warning lights on the dash, and when I do the OBD test it comes back as no connection to the PCM. So either the PCM is dead or there's some sort of ground problem or something like that, but that's the first thing that I've got to investigate. And I want your feedback, guys. I want you to tell me what you think I should do with it. So I'm thinking fast road spec with occasional track use, colour change. I like the wheels, they're the optional mag wheels, so they'll probably stay. I'm thinking colour change wise, at the moment I'm just thinking black because it's easy, and also it matches the ZR1. So black with a contrast rollover hoop, which I might wrap, and then maybe some bronze type alloys. But yeah, let me know in the comments what you want to do with it. It's so cheap, I can have a lot of fun with it. So it's not like the ZR1 where I'm trying to sort of get it back to as factory as I can and maintain the originality. With this one, it's a Cat C, it's already had a colour change. So I just want to use it as a toy. I'm just doing a little bit of exploring now around the PCM situation, and I can say that it's been siliconed in. There's signs of accident repair around here, nothing structural, but I think you see that silicone on there. The bracket that holds the PCM, which is this, has obviously been smashed, and somebody's just essentially they've just glued it back together. I think you can just replace all of the housing and stuff, so it shouldn't be too bad. And also the PCM itself has got signs of impact damage, and it's obviously been taken apart and stuff before. The plugs aren't in brilliant condition. Very similar to the other C5, the red one, if you have a look at the previous videos. The difference being though, this has obviously had wiring loom repairs, so all of these need checking for continuity. The pins look all right, to be fair to it. I think the loom's probably okay, but I reckon it's still in the process of trying to get this thing out. I think the PCM's had it. And the other thing, this is what's called the tack module, which seems to be in all right condition. But again, what isn't in so good condition, if I can try and get this to the camera, is the connectors that go to the tack module. They're all a bit past their best. The outer housing's smashed on both of them, so I've got to try and source some of those and get these tidied up. They were just cable tied on, obviously bit of a bodge, whoever's done that. I'm not blaming you, Kevin, because I know that you bought it like this. But yeah, it's not brilliant, but I'm hoping. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the PCM out, and then I'm going to test to see if I've got voltage and ground on the PCM connector, and if I have, then we know that this baby is faulty, so I'll get a new one, and hopefully, all things being equal, we should be up and running at that point. We shall see. Okay, so that's out now. Visual inspection doesn't look too good, although to be honest I think most C5 powertrain control modules look similar to this. That said, and I'm going to whiz the top off it in a minute, it's not got much ingress protection on there, has it? Oh god. So yeah, is it full of water? We'll find out. And then in here, the wing mounts. So if you just look where that tab is that I'm moving, that tab's meant to locate on there. That's all sheared off. So the inside of here is going to need a good repair. So the plan, I think, is to get it running, get the PCM roughly in position so it's safe, and then get the car over to my friend Marcus, who owns a body shop, and get him to mess around and get all the panel fit nice. But it'd be nice to have it running to start with, and then once it's running, we can move forward quite quickly, because it's only really cosmetics on this car, I think. Yeah, the discs, they're rusty, but the discs look good. Tyres are legal, it's MOT'd. Right, let's take the lid off this and see if there's any signs of water damage. And do you know something? I'm in serious deja vu with this car, because this is just like the C5, the red one. If you want to see more on this type of thing, check the other videos out. Right then, let's lift the lid on this. And surprisingly, it doesn't look too bad. Signs of water damage here. I think I'll unscrew these. They look like they've been off before to me. So it could have had a previous repair. But yeah, I'm going to unscrew and go a little bit further and see how it's looking on the other side of the board. There it goes. Now, to be fair to it, given the fact that there's no ingress protection at all, this looks better than I thought. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to check for power on that connector. And if I've got supply voltage going into this unit, then it's fair to say that there's a problem with it. I mean, it's one of those things, if it's had momentary drops of water on it, could have just fried it, even though it looks okay and doesn't look too damaged. Right, but let's get those connectors checked anyway. Okay, we've made progress, ladies and gentlemen. We've been messing around with these connectors, probing the various cables in the right places, and I can confirm that we've got grounds in all the right places. We had switched power, which means that the ignition switch is okay, but I didn't have 12 volts from the battery, which is this orange cable. So I was just messing around having a look at the condition of the cables, because really in this loom they're not brilliant. I think the whole thing potentially needs to be rewired. This one came apart in my hand, this orange cable here, which you can see that I've just literally just screwed that, well, twisted those wires together because I haven't got a soldering iron with me. And now the PCM should have power, so I'm going to disconnect the battery, go back into the car and read the fault codes and see if I've established communication with it. We shall see. Stay tuned. I'm excited now. What I'm hoping for is I'm hoping to be able to go into the OBD tool in the car, because these C5s are equipped with onboard OBD, which is really useful. I'm going to connect the battery back up and see if there's any difference to the messages on the computer. So that wire could be a total red herring, of course, and it could mean that basically it's another small issue found and hopefully fixed. But let's go inside now and let's have a look at the dash. Now, it won't start because I don't think I've got enough voltage, but let's see if we can at least communicate with the PCM. All the usual faults. Literally every single fault. Okay, so 4 PCM no codes, TCS, surely not, PCM, so it's talking to the PCM now, TCS, reset those codes, BCM, reset those codes. HVAC, don't really care about that. Door control modules, RFA. Right, guys, I'm going to go for it. I don't think it will start because I don't think there's enough battery power. Here we go, I'm gonna go for it. Ah, so frustrating. Not enough juice. I'm gonna have to go and get a battery. I will be back. It's the next day and we're back at the C5 with a battery, some tools, and we're gonna try and get this thing started. Do you think it will go? If it does fire, what's the engine gonna be like? It's a complete unknown and I'm a little bit nervous because when we crank it, it doesn't sound great on the crank. Now that might be the starter or it could indicate that there's an engine problem. Oh. Anyway, I'm gonna get the battery on and you're gonna join me back in the car and we're gonna try and start this baby and see what happens. Once it's running, we can start to move forward with this project. The thing about these C5s is they've got a bit of a design flaw, and that is that the engine computer sits behind this wing here. We had the problems with the red one. If you've not seen that little series that we did on the red C5, check it out. And that was to do with water ingress in the what they call the PCM, which is the engine computer. And this one's similar, but it's to do with the wiring, not the computer itself, although the computer looks pretty battered. But what some people do is they actually take the cables and they reroute it into so they come through the bulkhead and then they reroute the cables into the footwell there. That is something that we might consider doing. The reason for that is all of the wiring down here, which you can't see at the moment, looks pretty rough. And the fact that I've found that broken power cable begs the question, how many of those other wires that are going from all of the engine sensors down to the engine computer, how many of them are iffy? You know, if one broke in my hand so easily, the chances are the others are not brilliant either. We know that it's had impact damage here. So did that shock the cables? It's just a little bit of a funny one, but it's fairly straightforward to relocate it. It's quite a bit of soldering. That's something that we can look at, especially if it's going to be used on track and stuff. We might need quick access to the engine computer. So yeah, let's get that battery on, see where we are. Just drop it in there. It's only temporary. Obviously all of the battery box and all of the bits of trim and everything have got to go back on there. So I'm going to get this bolted up and then we'll see if she starts. Okay, so the battery's on. This terminal is not very good, but I'm hoping that I've got enough of a connection on there. Moment of truth. Will it start? I'm hoping that it will, and I'm hoping that the engine sounds good. First thing to check is if we've got that communication problem. So, quick check to see if we can... So there's no codes on the PCM, but we're still communicating, so that's good. All right, let's give it a go. Right, here goes. It's going. Sounds like there might be a bit of a misfire. Although it's not rammed for a while. Oh, it sounds nice. Happy days. Oh, Chris, I hate to say it, but I think it sounds better than the red one. Had a little bit of a miss when I first started it, but it seems like it's smoothed itself out. God, it does sound good. God, it's running. More updates coming soon. Nice bit of squeaky belt action. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little recap of how I got this little thing running. It's driving a lot better. Well, yeah, it's actually driving now, so So far so good. I've done a few miles in it now, and it's proving to be reliable, which is good. I have done another massive job on this car, and I filmed the whole thing, and annoyingly I lost all of the footage. But what I've done is I've got rid of these, which are the old shocks. So these are the active damper shocks, so you can see there's the electronic control unit there. I've got rid of the shocks. These were way past their best. They seem to do something, but the Bilsteins are a massive improvement. If you just have a look under here, I've just found a plectrum on the floor there. So you can just see the new dampers. But can you guess what's missing? Tell me in the comments if you know what's missing. And I'll reveal it now. There's no rear sway bar. So for some reason, can you see just here and on the other side, just there, that's where the sway bar is supposed to be bolted to the lower wishbones, and it's missing. Don't know why. Does anybody have one in the UK going spare? Thinking of upgrading the sway bars, but just having one would be a start. So let me know in the comments if you've got one, or if you know where there's one for sale. I've had a look in all the obvious places. So all four corners have had the suspension changed, and it has made a massive difference to the ride. What I've had to do, if you remember the video where we took the car to the dyno, it had a limit of 80 miles an hour on it, and that was because of a fault with that active ride control. I've used the Tech 2 to code out the F45 damper option, basically, so the car no longer thinks that it's got those active shocks and it's just on passive suspension. It's really easy, and if you're a C5 owner and you've not got one of these, I'd say buy one immediately, because they're an absolute lifesaver. I know that you can obviously use the DIC to read fault codes and stuff, but honestly one of these is just like amazing. They're about 350 quid, but they're worth every penny. So anyway, I've used that to code out the F45 active dampers, and it's driving really good. The 80 mile an hour limit is now gone. The next step with the suspension is I do want to fit a poly bush kit. So I'm going to change all of the bushes, front and rear. That's a job for another day. I've done a few other things in the car as well, in terms of trying to get it to work. The blower fan wasn't working, and the air conditioning wasn't working. That turned out to actually be a really easy fix. And what that was, so if you have issues with your heater controls, there's a ground underneath this plastic trim that's the G202 ground if you look in the service manual. Basically I just removed that ground and cleaned it up, and everything came back to life, so that was actually a really easy fix. There was another thing that was stopping the air conditioning from working as well, and that was the external temperature sensor. So the external temperature sensor that tells the car how cold it is outside wasn't working, and when that fails, the aircon thinks that the external temperature is like sub-zero Arctic, so it won't turn the aircon on. And if you're having problems with yours, they're accessed just under here. There's like a small probe. Don't try and film it. And the probe is connected, I'm going to disconnect it now to show you, to a small plug, and you can see that this plug here is actually still quite dirty, but it was really gunked up with oxidized, well basically it was just full of rusty water, so I've cleaned it all out, and the temp sensor came to life. So that's something that I'd recommend to you guys if you've got a fault with yours. It does, just to bear in mind, it takes a while to calibrate itself. So if you do that and it doesn't work straight away, if you drive the car for 5 or 10 minutes, it should sort of like come back to life. Well, that's what mine did anyway. So with it running properly, with the aircon fixed and the 80 mile an hour limit removed by removing the active damper option from the body control module, and of course fitting the new Bilsteins, the car is actually, even though it's looking pretty terrible, it's really nice to be in and drive now. It drives really well, in fact. I'm quite surprised. There's still a huge list of things that I want to do. I've talked about improving the suspension by fitting the poly bushes. More pressing than that, there's a massive power steering leak which I've still not gotten to the bottom of. Basically the whole front of the engine's covered in oil at the moment, and yeah, I need to clean all that down and work out what's going on with it. But we're getting there with the car, and now I'm sort of happy that it's reliable. I can start on the cosmetic soon. Still thinking about different colours for it, so let us know in the comments if you think that this would look cool in a particular colour. I'm kind of thinking about maybe a green, like an oak green colour, possibly still like a bright blue, or a pearl white, or even just plain old black. Either way, this colour is going to be changed. What's that?
Barbie pink.
Barbie pink. Glenn said Barbie pink. Has anybody seen that Barbie movie? Who's the artist?
I don't know. Ask Saffron.
Anyway, there's a singer that did a soundtrack song for the Barbie movie, and she's smoking around doing donuts in a bright pink C5 with all diamantes stuck to the dash.
I think Barbie pink could suit you.
Yeah, I think I'm a Barbie pink kind of a guy, let's be honest. I'm in touch with my feminine side. Oh, and the other thing that I fixed, which was horrible when I first picked the car up, if you remember, the tailgate, this was missing. And here, the panel gap was all over the place, and it actually didn't close on this side. I did film it after I'd fixed it, but which I'm going to insert now. But essentially, there were just 2 bolts under here. We needed to slacken the tailgate off and realign it. So I'll just cut to that footage now and show you that process. The issue was those 2 bolts there were loose, so we've slackened them off both sides and just realigned it, and it's done the trick. What we're going to do today, it's a lovely day, I've got the Targa top off, is I'm going to give this car a bit of just a bit of a clean on the interior, because it's really actually quite dirty. And I've got a few little bits that I'm going to show you now. But before we do that, let's just have a quick look in the interior. So, very, very grubby. I think the grey carpets show it up more. These seats are going to be changed, and I've got a plan, a really awesome plan, what I'm going to do about the seat situation. I don't think it's ever been done in a C5, so stand by for that. But I can't reveal anything yet because I haven't actually purchased the things that I need to buy. So we've got a lovely set of deep pile Lloyd mats ready to go in. We've got a set of new sun visors, because the sun visors in there are terrible, and a nice set of clean black door cards. These door cards are, I'm not a big fan of the grey. They would probably clean up okay, but I just think that the having more black in the cabin would also be an improvement. So yeah, I'm gonna just give the car a bit of a clean and an empty out, just to try and make it feel a bit fresher. I'm not doing a huge job on it, and hopefully it'll be a bit of a nicer place to sit. And again, in the back, it's not too bad. It's been sat for a while, so we've got rusty speaker grill situation going on just there. So I think I'm going to start with the sun visors. Fair to say that's past its best? I think it probably is. These are very easy to remove. What you need is a flat blade screwdriver. There's a small slot that you poke into a little hole just here. I don't know if you can see this on the camera. Put the screwdriver in there, and then what you do is you rotate the visor around with the screwdriver in it, and that should just drop it out like that. And then tucked in there somewhere, there's a little clip. Remove the clip, and my visor is out. So I'm not a fan of buying things from China, but these are really cheap from AliExpress. So if you do need a set for your C5, I think by far the cheapest place to get them from is AliExpress. I suspect that that's where all the people selling them on eBay and stuff are getting them from. So that clip should just poke up out of the way. I'll be careful not to break the wires, obviously. It should just slot in, rotate it round to lock it into position. And that's it, we're in. One lovely new visor. Just going to do the driver's side quickly.
No, 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 one would tell. No, 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 no. Well, I'm just standing tall, along with the road you hang.
That's it. I've just noticed actually I need a new clip for that because that's broken, but it's still holding it in position, so that's all right. Yeah, they illuminate as well. And that one's not illuminating. Don't know why. I'll have another look at that off camera. Alright, so let's get everything emptied out of this boot and give it a vacuum. These are the guys that painted the car, Mech Spray. They do a lot of Corvette paint jobs in the UK. I think it's actually, at one point this did have a really high quality respray, so they did a really good job on this car. You could never tell that it was silver before. Obviously since then other things have happened. The cassette collection's wicked. So we've got Brothers Johnson, Steely Dan, George Duke, Jethro Tull, Jean-Michel Jarre, The Crusaders. So Kev, the previous owner, who I've named the car after because he's a legend, has got amazing music taste. It's very similar to mine. So I'm really pleased, Kev, that you've left these in the car for me. When we get the tape player fixed, well, the tape player works, but when we get the speaker fixed, it'll be happy days. We'll be blasting out a bit of Brothers Johnson. So I'll keep the tapes safe. That's the cover that goes underneath the glass hatch. I never bother with those, but I will keep it in the car. Brand new starter motor, that might come in useful at some point. In case you're wondering, this is not one of those cleans that I'm trying to make the car immaculate. It's not a major detailing session. It's just to make the car a little bit more pleasant to sit in and work in, because at the moment it's just full of rubbish and quite dirty. So hopefully this will just sort of clean it enough so it's just that little bit more pleasant. I'm going to get rid of the CD changer because I don't think it's ever going to be used. Oh, and that's the CD changer out. If anybody wants this, drop us a message or find us on Instagram and I'll post it to you. It's no good to us, but I don't want to have to throw it away. It seems wasteful. Now I'm not going to get rid of this loom because I think because it gives me a wire from here to behind the dash, it might be useful for future use. I might be able to repurpose that. So I'm not going to cut it off or anything. I'll just tuck it out of the way. American dime. Don't know if that's in focus. I love finding treasure. 1974. Okay, so the boot's looking a bit cleaner now. Still nowhere near as clean as I'd like it to be. And eventually I think I'll change all these carpets and stuff. But yeah, there's no loose bits of dust and stuff in it. So let's get that new carpet in and see how it looks. I don't know what you guys think, but I think that's a massive improvement. So next job, door cards and cleaning out the inside of the cab area, which is a right mess. Actually, what I might do is I might get all of the stuff out of here and then give the cabin a vacuum, put the new mats in and then fit the door cards. Just sort of shuffling everything around in circles. Eventually it'll work its way out of the car. That goes under here, that needs refitting. So I might try and do that, but at the moment, if you can remember, we've got the PCM, which normally lives under the wing. We've got that temporarily down in this footwell. So I don't think I can fit that because of the wiring situation, but I'll have a look at it. More awesome tapes, Sea Level, wicked band, if you're into a bit of 70s yacht rock type stuff. That can stay in the car. Oh, what have we got in here? That's off the old mirror. And these are the old mats. Definitely seen better days. They look almost green and some faded. Good for kneeling on though. Yeah, that's a bit of a mess down there. So that's the TAC module, which is to do with the throttle control, I believe, and that's the powertrain control module. They both live in the wing, and at the moment, you can see up here, it's a bit of a rat's nest of wiring, and I've got no way to sort of put it all back without taking absolutely ages dealing with all of these, and I would need to be very careful with these because they're quite brittle. There's already been a few repairs previously, so I don't want to mess around with this too much. So I think what I'm just going to do for now is I'm going to vacuum around it, tuck everything out of the way as best as I can, and then put the mats over it. Put this little board normally lives like this. So just put the board over there so no one can kick the PCM, and then put the mat over it, and that should be okay for now. Just found an absolutely ridiculously massive spider. He's far too regal to suck up the vacuum, so I'm going to try and get him out carefully and save him. That's given it a huge lift. That looks loads better. So I think now I might do this door card and then switch over to the driver's side. I'll give all the dash and everything a wipe as well afterwards. Door card comes off really easily, by the way. It's just a couple of bolts and then some push fit trim clips. Oops. It'd help if I took that off, wouldn't it? And that. Look at the colour of the door. So obviously this car's had a new passenger side door at some point, because that's a blue door. And I don't know what's going on there, but I'm not sure if that's factory or not, but that doesn't look brilliant. So yeah, that's off, so it should just be a case of carefully pushing the new one on. That just needs gluing back on, doesn't it? Be interesting to see what colour the driver's door is, whether it's a silver, original silver door, or whether that one's been replaced as well. But obviously, yeah, at some point this has obviously had accident damage on this side. Right, let's see if we've got all the clips on there, which it looks like. So it looks like this one needs to come out. And be replaced with that. And then everything should just clip on nicely. So what do we think then? Is this an improvement? I reckon so. Have a look in a minute when it's all tightened up. Just got to get that switch pack back in and then it's done. Well, I've got one last thing to do to this door card, and that's to fit this little trim piece that goes behind the handle. Now, if you know C5s, or if you've been looking at them for sale, you always invariably see this is missing. Really cheap to replace, and it just makes the interior look slightly more finished. And anything that I can do to this car to make it look less of a bodge is going to help me. So stick that on there. There you go. And that just looks a little bit neater. Onto the driver's side. So I've already started putting the rubbish in a bag. Oh, I fitted this net as well, which again makes the interior look just that little bit better. So I've got all of my spare parts and things in there. Gonna give this all a nice vacuum, and hopefully it's going to be quite nice when it's done. Right, I'm going to carry on and finish this. Much better. Carpets are still filth ridden, but at least the mats are clean. So what colour do we think this door's going to be? Do we think it's going to be blue again, or silver? Who knows? Let's find out. Oh, all right. So this is the original. This is the original colour of the car, the silver. So you can see the painters have just painted inside the door card. It's nice to know that at least it's not had such a bad crash that that this door's been replaced as well. So that's a good thing. I'm happy with that. And all of this looks fairly unmolested. There's obviously a cover missing off there. This will obviously all have to be stripped down as well when the car gets painted. Alright, that's driver's door card done. So, I think what I'm going to do now is off camera, I'm going to give the whole interior a bit of a wipe down, finish vacuuming it, and I'll show you it when it's finished. And I think that'll probably be about it for this week's instalment of Kev. He's looking a lot better now. Still got to do some tidying up. But the car is actually quite a pleasant place to sit if you ignore how ripped the driver's seat is. I'm really happy with that, and I do think that the black door cards make a difference. I don't know, I think there was too much grey before. Ugh. Anyway guys, thanks so much for watching. I know this is not ZR1 content, but I can guarantee the next episode you are gonna love it. So make sure you stick around and watch it. And if you've got any ideas at all about what I should do with this car, because it is just a bit of fun really, it doesn't owe us a great deal of money, and yeah, it's just something that we're gonna mess around with and do some mods on and stuff. So yeah, if you've got any ideas of what you might like to see us do to this car, by all means leave us a comment and we'll consider everything. But yeah, as always, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed watching us, don't forget to like and subscribe. I know every YouTuber bangs on about subscribe, you know, please subscribe, but it does help us, and it's something that you can give back to us for free, and that really does help the channel. So yeah, so see you around for the next one. Calling ZR1 Rescue.